Alright guys, we don't have time for a typical opener because earlier today, Emily Rogers on Twitter had said she had heard of a rumored upcoming game coming to the Wii U and she'd announced it on Monday, but then she decided to forget about the whole waiting thing and just announced what game it was, and apparently it is Paper Mario Wii U. She claims, according to 4 or 5 sources that she has, Paper Mario is being made for the Wii U by Intelligent Systems, and this is obviously huge news. And interestingly, this is actually something we had discussed about a year ago, because there was a rumor last year that someone at a job fair had leaked that Intelligent Systems was in fact working on Paper Mario for the Wii U. So I'm guessing this is all part of the same thing. Anyways, let's get right to our raw reaction. So what do you guys think about this?
This is great news. This is, everybody's been asking for Paper Mario Wii U for a while, whether it was a remake or just a reimagining of other Paper Mario games. But of course, the thing that's on everybody's mind right away is, awesome, Paper Mario's coming. Please don't make it like Sticker Star.
Well, I'm going to take that one step further and say, please don't make it like Sticker Star or Super Paper Mario. I want this to be a traditional RPG, or at least a traditional Paper Mario RPG, in the vein of the original and the Thousand Year Door. I don't want this to be experimental. I want this to be exactly what the Thousand Year Door was, with maybe some enhancements. But I don't need another Sticker Star or another platformer. I just want a Paper Mario RPG in high definition, and if that's what this is, I could not be more excited.
I mean, that's basically it. It comes down to what exactly is this game.
Yeah.
If it's a typical Paper Mario, and by typical I mean the first two, that is awesome. Like, that is the kind of game I want. Thousand Year Door and the original are among some of my favorite games, whereas the other two I really don't care much about. I mean, to be fair, the Wii one is okay. Sticker Star is, my god. People already know how I feel about that game. So if this goes back to the series' roots, this could be amazing. The only surprising thing to me is the fact that it's a Wii U game. You would almost think they would want to hold off onto it for the NX, but maybe they realize that, they have talked before that they want to avoid droughts, on the Wii U, or in general even. And maybe they just want to fill up this year leading up to the NX.
Well, and they kind of have to. I mean, beyond the first half of the year, we don't know really about anything coming up except for Zelda Wii U. Yeah. So, we always knew there's going to have to be something announced, because they weren't just going to screw over Wii U owners. Just say, hey, we'll wait for the NX, because, what about all the people who already bought Wii U's? Like, they still have to support it. Mm-hmm. And they've been doing a pretty good job of doing that, so it doesn't really surprise me that it's for Wii U. I'm actually just more relieved that Paper Mario has a future at all, because I was a little worried, and we were talking about this recently, Andre, that Mario & Luigi Paper Jam might have signaled kind of like a soft end for Paper Mario, the Paper Mario series by itself, just because it seemed like they were kind of doing this, crossover thing, and it was more of a Mario & Luigi game than a Paper Mario game, and we were wondering, what does this mean for Paper Mario in the future? And I guess the answer is absolutely nothing, which is great.
That really is the best way to look at it. Maybe they just purely... I mean, Nintendo has been doing a lot more crossovers recently with all kinds of games, including, especially if you take into account their amiibo. And maybe this is just a way of them expanding the Paper Mario demographic by putting Paper Mario inside Mario and Luigi, and maybe reach a different demographic who would now be more interested in the next Paper Mario game. Especially because Mario and Luigi games have typically been handheld games, whereas Paper Mario is usually on the console, except for, Sticker Star.
It's a good way to look at it, because, Paper Mario really didn't have much of a personality in that. Of course, Paper Mario never really does, but it definitely showed off the humor of the other characters and showed what he was capable of. So I'd actually be very curious to see if they do go to the traditional route, whether or not they'll actually bring over his copy abilities and some of the other ideas that were put forth within Paper Jam. I kind of doubt it, because that's not very Paper Mario-ish, strange as that is to say, but It is nice to see them putting him out into the open like that, getting more exposure through the Mario and Luigi games, especially after his less than stellar appearance in Sticker Star, and hopefully bringing people back to the game with Paper Mario Wii U, if it's like we hope it's like.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. But I have a feeling. I have a feeling they wouldn't take much inspiration from Paper Jam. Also, partially because these games were probably in development, around the same times. So I don't know if they would have much influence on each other.
We need what the first two Paper Marios excelled at, and that's introducing interesting new characters. And that's even something that was lacking out of Paper Jam. That sort of does become the fear, is like, are they actually going to introduce new characters, or are we going to be stuck with the same that we always know about, maybe with a few new jokes here and there? What are we going to do? I mean, we got different characters to play as in Super Paper Mario, but it was still Mario, Peach, Luigi, and Bowser.
Right.
It'd be cool if they maybe did something along the lines of maybe Super Mario RPG and have Bowser join your team again. It's just, against some new threat or something to that effect.
I just want sidekicks to come back. I want Goombella or someone, like her, or, just all these cool sidekicks that you got in the first 2 games. I want that to make a comeback in this game. I really am sick of having no new characters to enjoy in Paper Mario games. And even though there are a few, like, I guess Super Paper Mario had Tippy, and, Sticker Star, though, I don't think had any new characters. So, and in that vein, I'm going to say something that's going to ruffle a few feathers, but we've talked about this before, so you know where I'm going here, and that's that I want Miyamoto as far away from this game as possible. And I hate to say that, but Miyamoto is exactly why Sticker Star turned out the way it did. He specifically didn't want them to use, to go outside the Mushroom Kingdom, have new characters, new ideas. He wanted them to play it safe, and I don't want them to play it safe. I want this to be like the Thousand Year Door, where they come up with a really cool, unique, original story with new characters, and stretch their arms a bit. Don't just play it safe.
You're not looking forward to motion control battles?
Definitely not.
So, actually, what's funny? Both of you so far have mentioned the characters and the story. No one's even mentioned the gameplay yet. And while I'm a big fan of the Paper Mario gameplay, but when you really think about it, what comes to mind first, I'd imagine for most people, are the characters and the settings. Like, that is what makes those games feel so distinct to me, with their, because they have the chapter-based gameplay, and every chapter feels so unique from the previous one. And some of those are just so incredibly memorable to me. And where Sticker Star, like, they just had generic desert, generic forest, generic, Toad Town. And it really is getting back to I think the distinctive areas and characters, as you mentioned. That really is a key thing here.
I mean, the crazy thing is that I've been recently playing Paper Mario for all those streams.
Yeah.
And, I go to a winter area. Okay, we'll stop the stream here and we'll pick up later. I get into that chapter the next time, and all of a sudden I'm in a penguin murder mystery. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You get those crazy situations that keep popping up and making it interesting for you to play through, and these new ideas. And I think that is, as you guys said, the heart of the Paper Mario series. It's these new, interesting situations, and they have to be full of ideas for what they could do for these games and what they could introduce.
Well, I kind of had felt like I had covered the gameplay aspect when I said that I wanted this to be less like, well, not at all like Super Paper Mario and Sticker Star, and more like the original 2. Like I said, I want this to be, gameplay-wise, I want this to be an RPG. Not a platformer, not an RPG with weird sticker-based mechanics, and no, I just want this to be an RPG. So gameplay-wise, that's kind of what I meant when I said that I wanted to be like the first 2 games. But certainly, everything beyond that, for me, it's about the story and the setting and characters. I mean, even now, Rogueport stands out to me as one of the most interesting, unique settings that Nintendo has ever had in any one of their games, period. Mm-hmm. And I want to see more ideas like that. Take me on an adventure through a completely unknown, area of the Mushroom Kingdom, or outside of its borders, however you want to put it. But something like Rogueport, where the whole place, or the whole game, took place in completely new environments, and Paper Mario is so good at that, or at least it can be, that I want to see that happen again.
Yeah, Rogueport was fantastic. I mean, what was great about that was about that area. Like, it felt like a real, it felt lively. It felt like a real place within the context of this world that evolved as you played through the game, with you uncovering new things constantly. Like, it reminded me a bit of, like, a town from a Zelda game, whether it's Clock Town or even Windfall Island. Like, how there's so much to do. There's so much density in this one area. You can spend, like, hours just talking to characters, doing side quests. And Rogueport is great. Like, that's one of my favorite areas to go to, and it was because it was so rich with characters and story.
I mean, I haven't experienced Rogueport yet, but I still you get that idea of what they're capable of, and just expanding on what they can do, because in just the original Paper Mario, you had those signs that you could read, Luigi's Diary you could experience. There's always these fun little side experiences that you could just have that just sort of prop up the story and give you just that little bit more character that these games are so beloved for. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to see them continue that. And crazy idea, maybe they just explore lesser known Nintendo or Mario places, like let's make Paper Daisy a thing and go visit Sahasra Land or something like that. Let's get nuts.
That would be nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go back to Dinosaur Land, right, from Mario World, which we've seen elements of it back, but I don't think they've ever explicitly gone back to that. Maybe they have in the Mario and Luigi games. I don't know. They do visit some weird areas in those games. So.
Yeah.
But no, there's a ton they could do. So I'm just I mean, and that's really what it comes down to. Is this better be a return to those first two games? Because if it's anything else, I can't help but see how I wouldn't be disappointed.
Me too.
Maybe they'll find some way of pulling it off, but at this point, what I just want is a return to form for this series.
Yeah, same here. I mean, and going into, you're saying like Paper Sarasaland or whatever. I still want Paper Subcon. Give me Paper Subcon with Paper Wart and all these Mario 2 characters, because I think that would be a really cool take on that area.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that, Ash, actually, how they need to bring back more, or like Wart specifically. Like Warts they've just ignored. It'd be cool to have him back in some way, especially with Dream Team would have been a perfect time for him to come back. So
yeah, that was a huge missed opportunity.
Such a huge missed opportunity.
Like, let's go crazy. Like, let's bring in Paper Wario, Paper Waluigi. Let's have them do something.
Well, let's not go too far.
I know you don't like those characters, Ash, but I do.
No,
I do too. I would love that.
There's all these areas that have not been focused on in Mario in so long, and this is the perfect opportunity to give them new stories and have new situations happen.
Although, if we're being real here, they're really going back to the originals. I actually wouldn't expect anything along those lines. That seems actually more like while it'd be cool, don't get me wrong, I'd be totally on board with it. That seems more like Mario and Luigi territory, whereas Paper Mario usually does just invent its own new characters, which granted are based on, or largely based on existing Mario elements, but like the areas tend to be entirely new for the most part. Besides sharing like themes, like being a desert or a forest or something. But like the one area that I always come back to whenever I think of Thousand Year Door, like one of my favorite areas of that game is Twilight Town. I love that area. Like, it's such a small area, encapsulates like so much of what I like about those games. Where there's, it provides like an underlying mystery in this case. And as you go through the chapter, you find out what exactly is going on here. And that's the case. Actually, that's the case for some of my favorite chapters of Paper Mario's history. Like how, like in the one the one you're streaming right now, Derek. Was it Tubba Blubba, I think? Is that his name? Yeah, in that chapter, like, that's also mystery-based, as I recall. Mm-hmm. I am just so eager to see what they can come up with for the hooks for this game, for the chapters and the stories and the characters.
Well, I guess that, going off that, like, what kind of improvements would you like? Like, okay, let's say they bring out Paper Mario Wii U, and it's based off of Thousand Year Door and the original. What kind of improvements would you like to see from those games?
It's kind of trite, but it's kind of hard to improve upon perfection. Not that Thousand Year Door is perfect, but there really isn't. It's hard for me to find anything wrong with that game, honestly. Like, I really have to rack my brain trying to find anything wrong with the Thousand Year Door. And in that sense, I don't know what I'd do to improve upon it. All I know for sure is that I would really like to see the audience mechanic come back. So, in the sense that all the battles take place on a stage in front of an audience, and you can gain or lose audience members depending on your performance, and that can affect battles in other ways. So that wasn't really a part of Paper Mario the original, but I love that addition to Thousand Year Door, and I would love to see that specifically either brought back or expanded upon in this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long since I played the Thousand Year Door, so I don't have a huge amount of memories of that game. But going solely off of the original, I would love to see them really take advantage of the whole paper fact, the fact that everything is paper and everything like that. I don't know if Thousand Year Door really steps that up in any real way.
It does a little bit, yeah. It definitely plays with the concept more than the original did.
Yeah, because all I can think of offhand is Paper Mario falling and just sort of drifting down. I'm like, that's cute, but he doesn't really do a whole lot with the whole fact that everything's paper. I'd love to see them really take that, even in battles, maybe find some way to do that. The other thing, and probably one of my biggest complaints from 64, Paper Mario 64, the characters have personality when you meet them. As soon as they're in your party, their personality is gone. There is nothing defining them whatsoever other than their abilities.
You know what's funny is literally you are describing Thousand Year Door now, or what you want from this game is what Thousand Year Door is.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Pretty much.
Because they not only they added the paper abilities like being able to turn into a paper airplane, paper boat, a few other different shapes, I believe. But also the characters in that game, they have so much dialogue, and each of them speaks completely uniquely. So depending on which character you have in your party, they will respond completely differently when they're in a story-based situation.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I think it sounds like you really do need to play Thousand Year Door.
Yeah, you really do.
But actually, Derek, it's funny too. Getting back to the paper idea, but I think you're right. Like even building upon what they did in Thousand Year Door with more paper mechanics, I think it's a way to go. And you reminded me of something I remember reading at IGN 64 back in the day, and I have no idea if it's actually true or not. But I remember them saying that the reason Intelligent Systems went with the original Paper Mario idea was because they had trouble working with 3D at the time, and so they found that to be an easy way or a more simple way of getting into 3D by using like sprites or 2D based characters. And so I feel like that's maybe partially why they didn't incorporate a bunch of actual paper mechanics in the original game, because the paper visuals might has been more of a side effect of trying to simplify development. So that's what they built on with the Thousand Year Door, and they continue building on that, as you mentioned, incorporating it into the gameplay, kind of like, or into the battles, kind of like actually what they've done with Paper Jam. Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with that. The more they can do with that idea, the better, I think.
Yeah, same here.
I do have one other idea, actually, for what they could do to add to the gameplay. I really am a big fan of that battle system. Like, I love how, even though it's simple, like, there is enough depth there that I found it enjoyable, especially with the badge system. I loved how badges worked in that game.
Yeah.
Allowing you to fully customize, like, play around with what attributes your characters had or your character had. And I really hope that returns. Like, the badge system needs to return for me. That was really fun. However, I have another idea, and it's an idea from Super Paper Mario. I think it'd be cool as if at points in the game, or maybe at any time, if you can switch the main character. Maybe you're not stuck with Mario the entire time. Maybe you can actually play as Luigi in this one, or switch to Princess Peach, or or maybe even Bowser in the case of Super Paper Mario, if he's not the main enemy this time. I think it'd be an interesting way to add even more partner-based mechanics. Maybe partners will work differently depending on which main character you have in the battle.
Yeah, I'd be okay with the idea of a traditional party-based system in this new Paper Mario game where you have other Mario characters in your party, so like Mario, Peach, Bowser, Luigi. I think that could be pretty cool. They all have their own different powers. Now, that said, I wouldn't want to have that at the exclusion of partners. I still want to have original characters as partners, so I wouldn't want that to replace them. But I think it would be cool to not have to play as Mario the entire time, and maybe have like a traditional party-based system going with this game.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the partner system is essential to the core gameplay.
Yeah.
Like having just the two characters with them having different abilities, I think, is actually pretty important. But yeah, it would be cool if they could swap out the main one as well, and just build upon the gameplay they already have. Like, that's really what I want for this game, is take what worked before and just build upon it. Just do it even better.
Yeah.
But what about the idea of, like, sort of combining those two elements where, like, Mario and Luigi get separated and they have to work together in order to get to this central point, and each of them find their own cast of characters that they work with as they go along. Sort of like what I've heard many times before about Luigi and his adventures in the Syrup Kingdom, or
yeah, that's right,
I would love that. I would love to see
you
that.
actually see Luigi's different adventures and just sort of compare and contrast, and he does build up his own set of companions along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be hilarious. I mean, one of my favorite parts of those games is the fact that Luigi does go off and have his own adventures, and it's kind of like it's kind of made a joke, and it's it's kind of making fun of him, but at the same time, I think it'd be really cool to actually see what he does get up to when Mario's away.
Yeah.
His own adventures. I think it'd be kind of cool to have that play into the story and kind of, form a cohesive whole.
That actually would be really interesting. Like, what if, I mean, pretty clearly they're sticking with they're going back to the series roots. They're going to carry over the chapter-based mechanic. What if you actually play as different characters in each chapter, and maybe they all come together toward the end of the game?
I'd love that.
That'd be awesome. I mean, they've already kind of played with that, with the whole fact that you could play as Peach for small sections.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh man, if they actually took it a step further, like having multiple characters, and each one maybe could have like a slight variation on the gameplay. Like Peach could be more exploration, Mario could be more adventure, maybe Luigi could be more puzzling or something of that nature.
I'd be totally down for that, and just see what they could come up with, and all the excuses to have all these crazy characters meet up and everything else. It'd be really cool.
Man, I'm so excited!
Well, now, here's a question for you guys. If they said they were going to bring back a couple of, like, older partners, from previous games, but mostly have new partners, who would you want them to bring back? Let's say you only get two. If they had to bring only two partners back from previous games, who would you want to see?
Oh, wow. I mean, I know you can agree with me on one of these, Ash. Goombella.
Oh, yeah. She's my first choice, easily.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing. I was going to say Goombella as well. I played, Thousand Year Door a long time ago, stopped playing it at some point, never came back to it, but I still remember Goombella and how awesome she was.
Well, part of it too is because she had so much to say on not just every character in the game, but every area in the game. So she had so much unique dialogue, and it was all extremely well written. Like, I feel like Thousand Year Door was where Treehouse really started to come into its own, and that was really brought home by Goombella as a character. Like, she had fantastic dialogue.
She was so funny.
Yeah, she was great. Especially like how she would even break the fourth wall at points, like referencing Mario's past adventures. Like, oh, you've encountered this enemy a ton of times before. You know what to do.
She would easily be one of my favorite. I mean, Goombario's pretty cool. I liked how, I liked his plucky kind of spirit, but Goombella easily takes it. I gotta say, I kind of am partial to Bo. I would love to see Bo come back. I love the way she just floated up to enemies and just kind of slapped them across the face. Just totally just smacked them, like, no problem.
She was pretty
and
good.
She has such an attitude. I loved it.
It'd be great to see them expand on her personality, since Bo is great. She she has all that to her, but again, once she becomes part of your party, she just sort of drifts off into the side.
True, yeah.
A couple letters and stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to think of like what characters I'd like to see expanded upon within those, and Bo I think does top the list.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any other ideas for anything else you want to see from this game, or anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up here?
Do you think they're going to force gamepad functionality into this?
I think, I fully expect gamepad functionality. I think they will just use it for maybe battle commands, or maybe not even that. Maybe just managing your inventory. Like, I can see this could be a great way to equip badges, as I mentioned, or otherwise, change your party members.
Well, there's one more thing, or one more way in which they're going to absolutely use the gamepad, which we haven't touched upon yet, and that's amiibo. I guarantee you there will be a Paper Mario amiibo to coincide with this game.
Not even a question. Not even a question in my mind. There will definitely be amiibo for this.
Do you think they're going to do the whole Mr. Game & Watch thing where they give you various poses for each one as well?
That would be really cool. I do think it'll look like the Game & Watch one at the very least. I think it'll be constructed similarly, but in terms of coming with different poses, that would be cool. I wonder.
So, but here's a main question: is what do you think they could do in this game with amiibo?
Heal him, power him up, give him all of Merle's abilities.
Give you more arrows.
Sadly. Take double damage.
You get the reverse cave of 100 trials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, honestly, Nintendo hasn't done, obviously, a very good job of creating compelling amiibo functionality in their games so far. So I hope Paper Mario will be the one to change that. But I'm not confident that it will be. But I hope that it'll be something like you can maybe have your own partner character. Maybe you create your own partner character and you can save their progress to your amiibo.
Well,
I think that would be really cool.
I was actually just thinking about that, Ash. What you could like. There's been an idea in other games before about having a sort of just white blob of a character, and they can take on other people's personalities. So maybe this partner character has his own personality, but depending on what you give him in the game, he can actually change his look to look at maybe just look like previous characters or something like that. But if you scan the amiibo, he'll look like Paper Peach or Paper Luigi or Paper Bowser or whoever. And that way you have a little bit more functionality. Like, you're not losing anything but not having it, but you still get the sort of fun idea that, hey, Luigi's helping me out or Peach is helping me out.
Well, I was thinking something a little more, I don't know, a little more, I guess a little meatier. Like, I'm thinking about the Shovel Knight amiibo functionality, because that, to date, has been the only example of really good amiibo functionality, in my opinion.
So you're saying co-op Paper Mario?
Well, not necessarily co-op, but just having your own thing that you can customize with your own abilities, that'll differentiate your amiibo partner or whatever from your friends, so that this thing can be fully customizable. You unlock different abilities or skills or costumes or little accoutrements, and you can only choose, one, but, they will make your amiibo function, or your partner function and look differently than other people's.
Huh. That's an interesting thought. Well, I guess along those lines is they could use it maybe to, customize your character. Like, that's what the badges are for, right? What if you could put badges on your partners?
Yeah.
And you could save those setups to your amiibo, and then you can just scan it in wherever you want to use that particular setup. Although I don't know how compelling that would be, because there's not much case for Paper Mario to take your amiibo to a friend's game, for instance.
Well, that's true.
At least.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, guys, do you have any final thoughts at all, or anything else?
This discussion is going to be wasted if it's not like the old games.
that really is what comes down to.
Yeah.
Again, I will remain open-minded. If they come up with some new idea, I will be open to it. But they haven't exactly sold me on the previous two. I mean, the series has been straying from what it did best, and I just want to return to form for it.
you guys weren't fans of Super Paper Mario, but I did enjoy it. It got way too wordy at times, but as far as gameplay, I mean, yeah, I came into it after the other games, so I didn't have an idea of what Paper Mario was to people before that back. But going into it fresh, I still enjoyed Super Paper Mario, and I can see why people wouldn't get into it, but that kind of experimentation isn't bad. Now, that said, I would still prefer one based on the first two games.
Well,
yeah.
Let me be specific. I actually am quite a big fan of Super Paper Mario from a story and character standpoint. I actually thought it was a pretty interesting adventure. I just didn't like the gameplay at all. If they had done Super Paper Mario and wrapped it around the traditional RPG elements of the first two games, I think it would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. So, like, I thought Dimension was a super cool villain. Like, I thought it was a really interesting story on it, at least as far as Mario games go. So I didn't hate it altogether. It was just the gameplay I didn't like.
Yeah, it was the gameplay and also the art design for me didn't quite.
Yeah, there's a lot of character designs in there that I just was not a fan of.
Yeah. That made it hard for me to really be immersed by the story, but the story wasn't bad. I agree. It has a really great dialogue, even if it was a little bit too heavy on it, from what I remember. But another thing I'm looking forward to actually is I remember going from Paper Mario 64 to Thousand Year Door and being amazed by how much better Thousand Year Door looked. Like they nailed the character designs and like the paper sprite look in the sequel, and I cannot wait to see how that might look in HD. Like if they can get it running at 1080p, for instance, even though I don't think the exact resolution particularly matters that much, but my point is it will look fantastic in HD.
Well, I agree, and I think we can take the fact that it's going to be 1080, at least 60 frames, if not 1080 and 60, to the bank. I mean, Nintendo loves getting their games running at 60 frames, no compromises, so at the very least, this is going to be a very pretty high-definition game running at 60 frames.
Yep, I think you're right.
Do you guys think they'll try to drum up hype by re-releasing Thousand Year Door at all, or?
I sure hope so. I would be fine with that.
That'd be nice, but they haven't released any other GameCube games on Virtual Console, have they?
No,
they haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to just destroy my dreams. I know. I know it doesn't make sense.
They're going to drum up hype by putting Super Paper Mario on the Wii from the Wii.
Well, what if this ends up being a Paper Mario HD collection and it's just Super Paper Mario HD and Sticker Star HD?
There you
and
go.
that's all it is. How angry would you be?
Oh man, I would not be happy.
Would all of us be? Yeah,
I would
no, I
not
wouldn't
be happy.
No one would be.
All right, well, I think that wraps up for us here. So, needless to say, we're all excited, and actually, I have a feeling. I'm starting to get the feeling that a Direct's going to be around the corner pretty soon.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time, right? So I'm hoping we're going to see it in that. We usually get one in the early part of the year, and here's hoping we will. I cannot wait to see what this game actually is and see it in motion. So, with that said, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below, which is a good way to keep up to date on everything we post. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for lots more on this game, hopefully, assuming it is real, and other things gaming as well. Catch you guys later. Bye.